The most homicidal, genocidal war criminal alive right now, Benjamin Netanyahu, has weighed in on the attempted shooting at the White House Correspondents' Dinner. Let's play the clip. He's speaking in Hebrew here, but he says, like you, my wife and I were shocked. Repeated attempt to assassinate President Trump and his wife. We were happy that both of them, along with senior American government officials, emerged unscathed. There is no place for violence, not against political leaders or anyone else. And this includes not only the United States, it includes first and foremost the state of Israel. So this guy, Benjamin Netanyahu, saying there is no place for violence against anyone, is about the richest thing I have ever heard in my entire life. And is the Western media just going to continue to run cover for this child killer, this genocider? And I think the answer to that is probably yes. And these strongmen, these fascists, are pathological liars, and they're old. Benjamin Netanyahu's old. Donald Trump is old. They have a lot of health problems. Bibi has just announced that he lied and hid his prostate cancer diagnosis because of the Iran war. Pop this up. Washington Post reports Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu said he had been diagnosed with and treated for early stage prostate cancer, but delayed revealing his condition for 2 months to avoid it being used against Israel during the war with Iran. He was diagnosed more than 6 months ago, and his doctor says that the disease has now been treated and that it has disappeared. And then while all of this is going on, and he's talking about there's no place for violence against anyone, concealing health problems, which we know Donald Trump is objectively concealing health issues, and Caroline Leavitt and the Lie Squad come out in full force. Israel, with the funding of the United States, continues attacks on Lebanon, killing 14 in one strike over the weekend. Pop this up. Al Jazeera reports at least 14 killed, including women and children, and dozens wounded in Israeli attacks on Lebanon. This comes after Trump celebrated a ceasefire between the two countries after bringing Lebanese and Israeli diplomats to the White House and said that any Israeli attack would be surgical. I don't know who's going to tell him, but somebody needs to tell the United States that Israeli surgical attacks are surgically targeted towards women, children, civilians, and infrastructure. That is their definition of surgical. And the body of evidence that supports that is objective and overwhelming. So here is a video here of Israel destroying Lebanese solar panels in a town. Pop this up. Here they are, just bulldozing these solar panels. And here's what's significant about this. This video from Al Jazeera shows Israel destroying solar panels that supply this town in southern Lebanon with electricity, which is needed for its water supply, as well as destroying homes and roads. So just a review. I've been filming here for under 4 minutes. Benjamin Netanyahu, war criminal. There's no place for violence against anyone. His country, just this weekend, kills 14 people, including women and children. And then they are using these genocidal tactics to dismantle infrastructure so that people do not have water or power. And this is a feature of the IDF, not a bug. The reason that Benjamin Netanyahu has to get on TV and grandstand immediately is because he has to kiss Donald Trump's ass so that he can continue to receive funding and he can continue to have the American media whitewash the crimes that he is committing. He has this greater Israel project where he wants to take over southern Lebanon. He wants to balkanize Iran. And of course, we all know what he's doing with Gaza and the West Bank. All of this, I think about this all of the time. It was just tax day. And so many people paying their taxes, and then that check or the wire transfer goes off to the Internal Revenue Service. And these good, well-meaning people are paying for women and children and infrastructure to be annihilated abroad. And just what a moral problem that is, what a moral collapse that is for American foreign policy. And the Western media's constant cover for a war criminal. And I just want to remind you that Benjamin Netanyahu, he can't go to a lot of countries because they would immediately arrest him. Donald Trump, when he comes to the United States, pulls out a chair for him, lets him sit at the head of the table. He was in the Situation Room. And this is wild. It's not just Trump. It's a lot of members of Congress. Pop this up, Kylie. The U.S. Congress is pushing forward a bill to provide U.S. citizens serving in the Israeli military with U.S. veterans benefits. This is just absolute insanity, says Zachary Foster. Introduced by 2 Republican House members, it would extend job and financial protections to Americans serving in the IDF, treating that service as equivalent to the U.S. military service. And so we have a government that's set up right now that just provides without question, without a moral check, provides anything and everything that Benjamin Netanyahu and his fascist right-wing government want, without questions. And you have Democrats and Republicans in the United States Congress that support this stuff. It is such a moral shortcoming of our country when you see what this man does, and then you find out Benjamin Netanyahu and his right-wing government with the collusion of Kushner, Witkoff, and Trump. And it just goes unchecked. And then he has the audacity to say there's no place for violence against anyone. Oh, except for all of these Arab women and children. It's just the hypocrisy is, it would be laughable if it wasn't so breathtakingly tragic and sad. And then the United States, you guys, I mean, you start realizing like we're not the good guys anymore. And we used to, I thought, believe in transparency, but NBC News is reporting about Trump and his administration's cover up of the war. Pop this up. American military bases and other equipment in the Persian Gulf region suffered extensive damage from Iranian strikes that is far worse than publicly acknowledged and expected to cost billions of dollars to repair, according to 3 U.S. officials, 2 congressional aides, and another person familiar with the damage. The Iranian regime swiftly retaliated after the Trump administration attacked on February 28, hitting dozens of targets across U.S. military bases in 7 Middle Eastern countries. Those attacks struck warehouses, command headquarters, aircraft hangars, satellite communications. This goes on and on. And here, leave that up for just a second. In the initial days of the war, an Iranian F-5 fighter jet bombed the U.S. base camp in Kuwait. And so, and this base had like air defenses. This was a rare breach. And the military, at the behest of, I'm sure, Pete Hegseth, has been lying and covering up to the American public about this. And now Trump has canceled all negotiation talks with the Iranians. And I want to remind you, he doesn't send the Secretary of State, Marco Rubio. He sends his son-in-law and his golf buddy, Jared Kushner and Witkoff. Play the clip.
We heard that we canceled the trip. We have all the cards. We're not going to spend 15 hours in airplanes all the time going back and forth to be giving a document that was not good enough. And so we'll deal by telephone, and they can call us anytime they want. Again, we have all the cards. They have no military left, practically. They have no leaders left. We don't know who the leaders are. Nobody knows who the leaders are. I don't think they know who the leaders are, very importantly. So you saw that.
It's your job to know who the leaders are. There is an entire Pentagon, a CIA that knows these things, but you like to get in front of the camera and play, oh, I'm so clueless. I have no idea. Like you don't have this kind of security clearance. The problem is you don't give a shit. But furthermore, I think the conclusion we can draw here is that Benjamin Netanyahu and Donald Trump and the powers that be surrounding them lie to the public about where we stand in this war. I want to remind you, like 2 months ago, the Strait of Hormuz was completely open. Completely. Now Iran controls it, and we are going to have a massive, massive energy crisis, and nobody can really quite grasp how bad it's going to get. But we have this guy and his son-in-law and his golf buddy and Pete Hegseth and who JD Vance, like these people are going to go over and negotiate with the Iranians who are trolling us at will with all of these Lego videos. And then we find out now they've completely attacked all of our military bases, which is what would happen, which is why the Pentagon told Trump not to do this. They told him not to do this. But Benjamin Netanyahu was sitting in the situation room and everybody greenlit it. And they sent out the Pentagon Joint Chiefs that told him, do not do this. He didn't want to hear that. He wanted to do it anyway. And then here he is, dementia boy, whose brain is fully cooked. Yesterday, pop this up. U.S. President Donald Trump says Iran can reach out to the U.S. if it wants to negotiate an end to the war, and adds that he believes the war in Iran will come to an end very soon and the U.S. will be the winner. I mean, it sounds so elementary school. I can't even believe it. It's just, it's so juvenile. But here are the facts behind this, rose-colored glass, delusional read on what's happening. This is Trump's 30th time since the beginning of the war that he has made a public statement like this. We have only been at war for 57 days. We have a president who we can't trust leading us into another never-ending conflict in the Middle East. And here's the message that Democrats need to have moving forward. Number one, always, we need to say it frequently and often, MAGA is an anti-family death cult. All of their policies lead to that. Number two, Republicans are horrible with the economy. They always wreck it. Number three, Republicans always drive us into quagmire, endless, expensive wars where there's no winner, no loser. And then after we do the wars, then we have to do nation building. Meanwhile, our nation is crumbling. It's almost like Republicans and MAGA want to tear down the United States. And I want to leave you with this. The biggest problem in United States foreign policy right now is this blind trust and cooperation with war criminal Benjamin Netanyahu and his fascist right-wing government. The Democratic Party, I think it's 80%, do not support this collaboration, this partnership. And so I hope that we can keep applying pressure to the Democrats that are in office now, and furthermore, elect Democrats who oppose this ally that drives us into complete problems that in all of these problems provide money to issues that neglect our problems here domestically: healthcare, the economy, inflation, gas prices, infrastructure, et cetera.